Well, it says that I'm live, but am I live? 'Cause I don't trust you anymore. Yep, okay. So we're live. All right. So here we go with another G.I. Joe classified series unboxing, and this is Footloose. So get ready to kick off your Sunday shoes. And here's the artwork on the back with a photograph of the figure. And this one, I know exactly what the Easter egg is because this is probably one of the most watched G.I. Joe episodes for me when I was a kid. Not because it was a particular favorite of mine, but it was because it was one that I just happened to catch one afternoon while I was over at my grandmother's house and recorded like an entire afternoon of the cartoons that I watched onto VHS. You know, had like an episode of Voltron, an episode of Transformers. I don't remember what episodes they were. I remember the He-Man episode that I got was the Golden Discs of Knowledge, which is a very good episode of He-Man. But the episode of G.I. Joe I got, it was kind of a send-up of the, I didn't know this at the time, because I was, wasn't really familiar with those movies at that time. But it was kind of a send-up of the old Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, Road to Morocco, Road to wherever kind of movies. And the duo that they had in that, which played off each other quite nicely, was Footloose and Dusty. And you see Dusty back here in this desert background. So this is clearly a reference to that episode. I can't think of any other episodes of the show where Footloose had like a really big part. This was probably the only episode they did where Footloose was like the main character, or at least one of two main characters teamed up with Dusty. But the character had a very interesting personality. And the only comic book appearance I can think of Footloose, the only major appearance anyway, was his first appearance, which was also the issue that introduced Flint and the Crimson Twins and the Armadillo Tank and the Ferret. And it didn't introduce the Crimson Guard. They'd been in the comics at least once or twice beforehand. Certainly Fred was a character. Fred 1 and Fred 2, I think, had both made major appearances in the comic at that time. But it was in the commercial where they were advertising the Crimson Guard, I think, really for the first time. And I think that was the issue where they didn't quite have the Crimson Guard's design down for the comic book yet. And they pretty much just drew Hiss drivers, which we used to sometimes use the Hiss driver as a Crimson Guard since he was in red, but whatever. There's a very nice portrait of Footloose on the side here, giving a peace sign. This to me just kind of sums up his character very well. I love the little smirk on his face. We're gonna get more into that. Now the action figure itself has more of a neutral facial expression, and definitely like reminds me a little more of the neutral facial expression that was on that original figure. A lot has been made of his resemblance to a certain actor who a lot of people seem to think is overexposed now. But at the time they were making this figure, he was still fairly popular. But before we get too into that, I want to go ahead and read Footloose's file card, because like I was saying, he has a rather interesting personality. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about that some. So file card says infantry trooper, codename Footloose, real name Myers, Andrew D. Then it's got the social security number, primary military specialty infantry, secondary military specialty special services, basketball coach of all things. I love some of the crazy things that Larry would come up with for their secondary military specialty. Place of birth, Gary, Indiana. Myers was valedictorian of his high school class, captain of the track team, and an Eagle Scout. He was going for his degree in phys ed on a state scholarship when suddenly he dropped out, moved to the coast, and became quite weird for about 3 years. He was standing on the boardwalk in Venice, pondering something cosmic. when the utter pointlessness of his existence hit him between the eyes like a runaway freight train. I think I'll join the army, he said, and promptly did. Took basic and AIT at Fort Benning, that's in Georgia, and graduated jump school and desert training unit. Qualified expert, all NATO and Warsaw Pact small arms. And then the little quote about Footloose at the bottom from some member of the Joe team is, some of the Joes think that Footloose is out there, but all he's trying to do is find himself. He's the all-American boy who lost his way, who got lost on his way to the fair, and he's simply trying to get home any which way he can. Most folks think that they know who they are and where they're going. They're the dangerous ones, and that is a very Larry Hama kind of statement there. I remember him saying something to that effect on one of his Facebook posts. So, but yeah, he was very much of the opinion that it's the dangerous ones who think they know where they are and where they're going. Blue White Mario is here and says, "Hello, Alan, it's me again." Hello right back at you. Good to see you. So anyway, yeah, that's what I was talking about when I was saying how like I kind of feel like that portrait on the side fits the character very well. And he does not have that kind of lighthearted smirk on his face on the actual figure, but we're about to get into that. So let's go ahead and pull that open. Oh yeah, I should look at some of the close-ups of the detail on there. You got like a smiling shark face on his RPG and a red four-leaf clover unit patch on his shoulder, which again, the four-leaf clover to me kind of fits the character, the kind of the kind of character that they describe on here. And then you can see the insert in the back has the G.I. Joe star with the stripes, like we often see. Oh, and he is figure number 156, and counting. Like I think I've got 176, 179 up there. I think it looks like the last one, and that's that I have in that stack, and that's Wetsuit. But we'll be getting to Wetsuit eventually. Blue White Mario asks, "How are you doing?" I am doing just fine. I'm opening up this action figure, so I'm pretty excited about this. I'm pretty excited about all these G.I. Joe figures. I've got a figure that I picked out for my Christmas episode, and I'm gonna warn you that episode's going to be a little bit on the melancholy side, but I feel like it's something that's worth talking about. So far we got a rocket, we got a pistol, we got the rocket launcher, we have a backpack, which this backpack looks pretty familiar to me. I think this is Dusty's backpack again, but I don't remember. But yeah, there's the backpack. Got a helmet and got a rifle. And the rifle's actually taped in. Where'd I put my X-Acto knife? I just had my X-Acto knife. It's under one of these little useless pieces of paper that Hasbro likes to put in these packages with all the legalese and everything. And I could swear that I've seen this one before. I think this is the same one that comes with Scarlet and a few other figures. So, kind of M16 type rifle. So, pretty cool. And then, little teeny tiny knife. Which I want to be really careful with because I've been dropping a lot of stuff lately and I don't want to drop this. Little teeny tiny knife. And it does have, looks like a little sheath on his web gear for it to go into. So let's go ahead and pull him out. I got the original Footloose figure for Christmas back in 1985. He was one of two G.I. Joes that I got among my presents from my father that year. And the other one was Airtight. So Blue White Mario says, everybody hurts to send the new of Batman figures and Spider-Man figures. It's really cool, but we heard a Catwoman figure, but a Batwoman figure as well. Well, that's cool. Oh, I'll have more Batman on here soon. It's I don't know exactly when, but I got all these G.I. Joes I got to work through. I've still got after this one, I've got a stack of 6 more of the regular G.I. Joe figures here. I got at least three retro card figures I got to open up. I've got a bunch of the Super 7 reaction figures. I'm probably going to just do those all as one big video. And I've got the 2 packs of Law and Order and the Sand Scorpion and his Scorpion and Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer. So I'm not going to put any of the weapons on this figure yet. I'm not going to fall into that trap this time. But I do want to talk about this helmet real quick. Is he does have some netting over the helmet with some leaves stuck in it for camouflage, or as William Shatner would say, camouflage. So can you show me the G.I. Joe figures? Well, it's a big stack of them. And some of them are on the other side of the room, like the 2-packs and everything. But I got the big stack of them right here. See if I can move them over here without it toppling over. Yeah. See, and then it topples over at the last second, and it knocked over Dracula, and it fell on my keyboard, and what a mess. Anyway, but that's them. That's them. And I dropped my phone. Major Blood will be the next episode. Major Blood and Snake Eyes and a bunch of other ones. We'll just, for now, I'll put them over in this box. Yeah, whatever. Some of them will go in the box. Some of them will go on the floor. Whatever. All right, so where did the figure go that I was actually talking about? Now all this stuff toppled over. Here we go. All right. So, Footloose. So yeah, I got him that year for Christmas. And Footloose is one of those characters that I kind of feel like it looks like he uses the same legs that Leatherneck has. Footloose is one of those characters where I kind of feel like he's a good sort of utility character. He's like I'm sure somebody out there watching is going to be like, Footloose was my favorite G.I. Joe. Like, you know, every G.I. Joe character is somebody's favorite G.I. Joe. I'm going to go ahead and put the knife in his hand just because I want to go ahead and get that in the sheath. But there he is with the knife. You can see it's kind of a small little knife. So I just want to go ahead and get that in the knife sheath. It's so small. I don't want to take a chance on losing it. But yeah, so he's a character that I think a lot of people liked and a lot of people probably put into their squad. But he's probably not a whole lot of people's favorite G.I. Joe character, but he's certainly some people's favorite G.I. Joe character. Every G.I. Joe character is somebody's favorite G.I. Joe character. Even Ice Cream Soldier has his defenders. And there's the sidearm, his automatic pistol, and that's got a little holster over here on his belt towards the back. We can go put that in there. And there's an ammo clip over here, but it's not like a removable one. It seems like it's molded into the belt. But it does look enough like the ammo clip that's on his rifle. I could imagine that being an extra. Man, this holster is going to be tight. There we go. I got it in there. So there we go. But yeah, he's definitely one that I can imagine a lot of people wanting to have in their squad, even if he's not like usually like the main guy in the squad. Now, I do remember that he was one that for whatever reason didn't get like a proper release of a 25th anniversary figure. And that was kind of disappointing to me because, like I said, he was one that I remembered having from when I was a kid, and I always liked Footloose. And Dracula got knocked over again. Dracula always getting knocked over again. I need to find a permanent place to put Count Dracula. So get the cape back on him at least. I don't know where this figure stand got knocked off, so I don't know where that went to. But yeah, so and he's one that like the original figure at least I kind of felt like was a fairly realistic depiction of a Vietnam era soldier. This one has a little bit more of an update to him. Like he seems a little more tactical with the way the web gear and the pouches and everything are however you want to put that. But yeah, they did do for the Rise of Cobra movie. They did a desert color scheme for Footloose that came in a troop builder pack. But I don't think they ever did like a proper Footloose for the 25th anniversary line until like May. I think they might have did one as a convention exclusive, or there he is with the backpack. I don't know why I'm putting stuff on him right now because I don't want to do that yet. We're going to hold off till after I talked about the articulation before we do that. But yeah, that Footloose figure was pretty good, but it was, like I said, a desert color scheme, which is not Footloose's usual color scheme. Usually we see him in the green, the jungle green. But the file card mentioned he was trained in desert warfare, so yeah, why not have a desert version of Footloose? But yeah, I think they might have done like a more traditional version as like a convention exclusive or the G.I. Joe collector card, the collector club, something that was too expensive for me to get a proper Footloose in 25th anniversary, so I never had one. But he's got his classified figure, and I think they did a good job with it. To me, looking him over, this looks about like what I remember the original Footloose figure is as being, only they scale him up and put a few more pouches onto him, like I said, to make him a little more modern feeling. I want to say that the original one had more like the web gear, like like what the earlier GI Joes had, like where it's more like suspenders or something. And this one's almost more like a light vest, you see, but it's got lots of pouches and things on it. But that would be, I think, the main concession that they made to kind of modernizing this guy a little bit. And as for the head sculpt, like I said, a lot of people have talked about how much this looks like Pedro Pascal. And I think that you can see a resemblance to Pedro Pascal looking at the figure. But I got to say, I don't think it's quite as strong of a resemblance to Pedro Pascal as it looked like it was when we first saw the first pictures that they put out of it and the digital rendering and everything. So I don't know if it just lost something in the translation to plastic, or if they actually made some mods to it so they wouldn't get sued. But it still looks, I think, enough like Pedro Pascal that you could still see the resemblance there. Now, that having been said, it's like they already got Mandalorian figures that look like Pedro, and they got Mr. Fantastic figures that look like Pedro. And did you really need to put him into the G.I. Joe line as well? But whatever. It's all good. And like I said, his expression on the figure is a little more neutral than what we saw in the action figure packaging. I'm okay with this because I like to have action figures with a neutral expression generally. But there was something about that portrait on the side where I felt like they gave him some good character. There's that 4-leaf clover I was talking about. Got an American flag over here on the other side. He's got a green watch. Looks like a watch anyway. Pretty sure it's a watch. Over here on this wrist. And a black. This is definitely a watch. So I don't know what this is on this wrist. But he's got a green sort of wristband over here. And a kind of gunmetal sort of wristwatch. I don't know if that's the best color for a soldier to have, because it seems like it'd have a little bit of glint on it. And if he's wearing jungle camouflage, if he was trying to hide in the jungle with that, like, just a little bit of glint off of that could give his position away to the enemy. So you want to be careful with that. So anyhow, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. So Footloose can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, or rotate the head all the way around. And of course, this being a G.I. Joe classified figure, not only is his head jointed where the head meets the neck, but also where the neck meets the shoulders. So you get a little bit of extra articulation in that. And then, of course, his arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders. He's got that kind of butterfly joint there, so his arms can move back about that far, forward about that far. His arms can raise up to the side about that far. There we go. And he's got a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed elbows. This one seems like it's a little stuck, but I got it. That is about the range of motion you get at the elbows, so very good range of motion there. His wrists rotate all the way around, and his right wrist has a vertical hinge, so it moves down about that far and up about that far. And then looks like a horizontal hinge on the left hand, so that moves forward and backward, like so, backwards and forward. I don't know how you put that. He's got an ab crunch under this vest, and the vest doesn't really seem to hinder it too much, because like I said, it's kind of a light vest, but you can bend back about that far, bend forward about that far. I knew a guy who worked at a movie theater who kind of reminded me of Footloose a little bit, the way he was described on the file card, and thus thinking about the character of Footloose kind of reminds me of this guy. His name was Adam Leckie. I knew him in the movie theater. Dennis Lepetrov is here and says hello. Hello right back at you. Good to see you. But this guy, he had that same sort of trippy mentality that Footloose is described as on the file card. And if friend of the channel, Philip Presley, sees this, he knows who I'm talking about. He knows the guy. And he can tell this story better than me, obviously. But at one point, him and Adam were talking about The Matrix, the movie The Matrix. And Phil had mentioned that he had never seen it. This was back around like 2000. So The Matrix was still like a pretty new movie at the time. And not everybody had seen it yet. So it had just come out on DVD, I think. And Adam was telling him, "Oh, you got to see The Matrix. It will change your life. It's The Matrix is like what real life really is, kind of thing. Talking about how like everything's like a simulation and everything, and how they try to that sort of thing." And finally, Phil did watch The Matrix. And next time he saw Adam, he was like, "Hey, guess what I did?" And Adam said, "You watched The Matrix." And Phil was like, "How did you know that?" And he's like, "It was the only thing in your life that was missing, man." So yeah. And then kind of like what happened with Footloose, he just one day decided, "Yeah, I don't need to work here anymore." And he just up and quit. Just walked off in the middle of his shift. And I have no idea what happened to Adam after that. But I hope he's doing well wherever he is. He was a nice guy. I liked him. So, it might sound like I'm kind of, poking fun at the guy a little bit, but I'm not really intending to. He was a cool guy. I liked him. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. So Footloose can twist all the way around at the waist. But it does seem like as he does, he kind of bumps in, like stuff on his vest bumps into stuff on his belt, but it does turn all the way around at the waist. And of course, the waist has that kind of wobble to it. It kind of reminds me of the old O-ring G.I. Joe figures, but it's not on an O-ring. It's on a ball on a socket, but it does have that kind of movement that reminds me of the old G.I. Joe figures, which I very much appreciate. And he's got the kind of drop down hips, like the G.I. Joe figures usually have, but they don't seem to have quite as much movement on this one. Footloose can kick up about that far. He does have a thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed knees. Little stiff, but he does have double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. And then there is a boot cut, although it's technically underneath the pants leg on this one, but that rotates all the way around, and his foot points down about that far. His foot points up about that far. I should probably have him actually facing up when I do that. Yeah, so foot points up about that far, points down about that far, and then it rotates all the way around where the foot meets the ankle. Although, like, just because of the way that the boot cut is set up, it does kind of conflict with that a little bit. I think technically I have it backwards now. Not that you can tell. Whatever. All right. So I pointed out before that I like this helmet because it had the same sort of netting and camouflage on it. A little more subtle than the original one, but it's still there. And it's got like a newer addition to it where it's got these goggles kind of stuck on the front of the figure here that should be like night vision goggles that should, in theory, flip down, but it seems like they're not actually designed to flip down on the toy. Unfortunately, they're just stuck in that position. But the helmet has a strap on it, which is going to go underneath his chin. You can see there's a microphone on there too. But that means it's probably going to be kind of tricky for me to get this on here, and I definitely don't want to break the strap. So I'm going to be really careful when I put this on him and pull the strap over his face. And there, I did manage to get it on. And since the chin strap is technically two straps, I think what you want to do, and probably let's check the picture on the package. Yeah, so what I did, and I think I pulled it a little bit further than what it shows on here, but I kind of got the upper strap kind of right underneath where his lower lip is, and the lower strap actually underneath his chin. And I think that looks pretty good. Pretty good. So now that I've done all the articulation and everything, I'm going to go and gear him up. So we'll go ahead and put the backpack on him. And thankfully, the backpack fits on him nice and snugly. You know, like some of the earlier G.I. Joe backpacks, they didn't fit on there quite as well. But I think they finally got it into finally got it down to a science all these years later. I don't remember the last time I had a backpack that fit on there loosely. But this one fits on there well, so that's good. And then we got, I'm going to talk too much about this, the rocket launcher. So there's that. And it's got this thing on here, which looks like it's some kind of cap or something. This is probably something where like this extends out when he's using it, like, and then this flips down. But it's all like a solid piece. It doesn't seem like it has any sort of articulation to it. So I'm guessing the rocket should go into the front here. So there's what that looks like. And you can see it's got, like, again, that sort of shark, grinning shark face on there. So there's no actual handle or anything for him to hold this. So I don't remember the original Footloose as having a handle necessarily on his. So I think you just gotta kind of grip it by the front of the strap. That's how I did it when I was a kid anyway. Kind of put it over his shoulder like a bazooka. So yeah, Footloose came with a rocket launcher like this, and Bazooka came with a rocket launcher like this. They weren't the exact same mold, but they both came with rocket launchers, which kind of made me wonder, like, if the normal infantry trooper has a rocket launcher, why do we need a specialized rocket launcher guy? And if Footloose has a rocket launcher and a rifle, why can't Bazooka also come with a rifle? You know, it's one of those kind of crazy things. So, but yeah, I want him not using the rocket launcher too much with Bazooka or with Footloose, and I might have actually lost it at some point. You know, if you were gonna make this guy look like any actor, why didn't you make him look like Kevin Bacon? I mean, he's already named Footloose. Hell, make him look like John Lithgow. Let's hear it for the boy. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the rifle in his hand. And like I said, I'm pretty sure we've seen this rifle before. I'm pretty sure this is the same one that's come with characters like Scarlet and others. And I'm having a hard time getting his finger in the trigger guard. So there we go. It does seem like it's a little more rubbery than I'm used to these being. Maybe it's just because the stock is a little on the flimsy side. But there he is with the rifle, and you can have him kind of holding the rifle in a two-handed grip. Like these hands are pliable enough that we can probably pry them open. I wouldn't want to leave him posed like this at all because I wouldn't want to stretch this hand out too much. So I probably wouldn't display him like this myself. But you can have him hold on to the front of the rifle like that. So there we go. And that's him with all of his accessories and everything. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be a way to store the rifle on the figure when it's not in use. But like I said, the rocket launcher at least has a strap over it, so you can kind of hang it over his shoulder. It doesn't seem to want to stay on there very well. But you can get it over there. And of course, if you wanted to, you could probably just loop this thing like over his head, have it going across his whole torso if you wanted to. I don't think the strap is quite big enough, but it'd be kind of hanging around his neck a little bit. So anyway, that's pretty much it for Footloose, I think. He's a really cool figure. And like with the original one, I kind of feel like this is a case where, like, you know, he's probably not going to be like the leader of somebody's squad or anything like that. But he's definitely a good figure to have as, like, being part of the squad. You know what I mean? So maybe I can get this into his hand, into his other hand, and that could be the thumbnail picture. That might be the best way to do that. Or just have it hanging down like that. I think that's fine for now. So, but anyway, yeah, that's it for Footloose. Next episode, I'm going to be coming back with Major Blood. Let's see if we can, because now all the figures are in the floor. So we got Wetsuit and then Snake Eyes. That's the 90s Snake Eyes. I'm really excited about that one. I actually really liked that design for Snake Eyes. Get the grim Viper as opposed to the cheerful Viper. Yep, there's Major Blood. He's a dangerous foe, trained by Destro, the enemy of G.I. Joe. So let's see. We will save this stack. We will save Mainframe for last. He's going to be the last one we open up. And then we'll put the Grim Viper. And then I had a rhyme and a reason to this. Then we got Wetsuit, Cobra Commander in his battle armor, Snake Eyes, and Major Blood. All right. So I'm trying to alternate heroes and villains with this as best I can. So we just did a hero. We just did a member of the Joe team with Footloose. So I think the next one we should do is Major Blood. Get him done. And Major Blood is one where, like, the original figure they did of him was a Target exclusive and kind of hard to find. But I'll talk more about that when I open this guy up. But they did do this newer version. The main difference I can see with the two is the red highlights. That's the thing that's most obvious to me, but I'm sure there's other differences too. But anyway, Major Blood will be next, then Snake Eyes, then Cobra Commander, then Wetsuit, then the Grim Viper, and then Mainframe. And sometime in between all this, I'm probably going to open up my my Christmas figure. What's going to be the Christmas video for this year? And it might not seem like too obvious of a figure to open up for Christmas, but I've got my reasons for selecting it as my Christmas figure. So that'll be coming up soon. What's today? The 12th. Yeah, so we got time before Christmas. So probably as close to Christmas Day as I can get it. That'll be the day that I open up that figure. So probably I'll be able to get through all of these and then get on to that one. And we got lots of cool stuff coming up. Don't worry about it. So anyway, but that's it for Footloose. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Footloose and how he fits into your G.I. Joe universe. Maybe Footloose is your favorite G.I. Joe character. Like I say, every G.I. Joe is somebody's favorite G.I. Joe character. But for me, he was kind of more of like a utility player. He was a guy that, like I said, I wouldn't usually have him as like the main guy, but I would usually have him on my squad. He was always like a really cool figure, even if he was kind of more of, excuse me, that sort of like background sort of player. But anyway, I'm glad to finally have this guy in my classified collection. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye. End stream.